Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Did I freak you
Hello.
out, Bronze? What was that?
We're talking
No, me
history.
and Jesse were talking about American history because it just got back from Boston.
Oh, that's right. You were at the old COVID convention.
Old
I
COVID con.
thankfully, I hope I'm okay. I thankfully did not go to any parties, did not, I basically did the gig at Inc. and like went on
Peaced
a
out.
few tours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking to Jesse about, was like the tours I went on. I
Mm.
didn't even spend that much time on the show floor, and I was double masked the entire time. And everybody acted like I was a nerd, but now people are back testing positive. So I don't
That's
know who
correct.
was a nerd in that case.
I mean, like, look,
You could be a
all
nerd, but
weekend.
you could be smart.
So I've never seen a convention. Like, most of the time I see a convention, I'm like, man, everyone looks like they're having a great time. This time I saw a convention, everyone's smiling and playing games, and I was like, son, can't trick me. Can't fool me.
Yeah,
I'm not falling for it. Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah,
It
I
was.
spent like minimal time at the convention itself and more time like
Let me ask you
vibing out.
this.
Boston is a really cool city.
Oh, yeah, it's
It
great to
is.
walk around downtown and that small
Oh
It
little
my
is.
area.
god.
Yeah.
Yes. I had so
It's
much
sadly
time in
one
the
of the,
fresh,
like,
open, non-COVID soaked air.
yeah. It is. There are a lot of old American cities, but a lot of them, especially in the South, there were tons of old American cities, but they all were pretty much destroyed during the Civil War. So Boston is like pretty much what we got. It is as close to like European old as this country can get.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting.
I've
True.
never seen architecture like that in a city. Like, and it's not just in one or two places. Like, oh, this is the historic quarter. No, it's like everywhere you
Yeah.
go. And what I'm really impressed with, but also like was kind of dystopian to me, is how they've figured out how to maintain use of these buildings. So like,
Mhm.
they're just like, oh yes, this is the site of the Boston Massacre. It was the tallest building in Boston for many years. It's now a subway station. This here, the one that really got me was like, this is the oldest residential building in Boston. This is where the Scarlet Letter in Uncle Tom's Cabin was printed. It was home to a printing press. Now it's a Chipotle. Yo, my fucking jaw hit the floor. It was a fucking Chipotle, chat. It was a Chipotle. But it looks like this old, amazing brick building, legitimately the oldest residential building in Boston. It is now a Chipotle. And I'm like, well, at least it's still standing.
I
Yeah.
But
just want to
also,
like
Yeah.
one of the most comical things, Bronze, in the world is knowing that most historical places were not like put on a historical registry or saved. And so just whoever bought them. And it even extends to things that are not real. Like if you were to go to London and like, I want to see 221B Baker Street. Where did Sherlock supposedly live? And you can like go there. It's a Beatles like store. It's a Beatles memorabilia store. So like, you know, even fake things are like something else now. It's amazing. It's so funny. So there
oh
you go.
my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, no, I was blown away by that, where it's like, look at this beautiful building. I wonder what it is. And it's like
Mhm.
the Ruth Chris Steakhouse. And you're just like, oh, okay.
That's how it
Um,
Yeah.
goes.
I'm glad it's
Did you
still
see
there.
any
Yeah.
you see any beans or bean boys while you were there?
No, I don't know what that is.
Well, I bet he saw you. There's
Uh-oh.
there's a mystery, a legend of the Boston baked bean boy. And it is a cryptid creature. And just, whenever you have the time, watch out for the Boston baked bean boy. He's
Gotta
up
watch
there.
out.
I'm
He'll
gonna
get
look
you.
I'm gonna look this up.
You should
I
look up the
did
Boston baked bean boy.
I did go to
There's
like a
artist
lot of
renditions.
haunted places. Um oh, like King's Chapel. I
Sure.
went to King's Chapel in the King's Chapel graveyard, which is super creepy. because they've moved around the tombstones so many times there that people are buried on top of each other, and
Yeah.
it's all kinds of fucking freaky, and there's a mausoleum underneath,
Is
and then
that
I went
where
to Boston Commons.
Nicolas Cage found the spire
That's
leading
New
to?
York.
Oh, that's in New York.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, all right.
Yeah.
That
And
was
then
on
there's,
Wall
like,
Street?
Boston
Oh,
Commons where when they put in the subway, they actually, ran it they had to stop digging for a little bit because they uncovered, like, hundreds of skeletons, and they hung,
Mhm.
like, tons of people in Boston Commons for, like, seemingly no reason at all, because someone said they were a witch, and so that park is apparently, like, super fucking haunted. And then I went to the Granary, which is where, Sam Adams is, buried, and then they have some other people there too, but apparently that place has what was it? He said 800 tombstones, but they have over 2,000 recorded burials there. So it's
That
like
sounds
the
checks out.
about
There's
right.
same
only so much
thing.
space. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that people are like buried on top of people and that the tombstones don't match. And it's just like, so you have, so a lot of people think a lot of the dead there are like not at rest because they've been moved around. And when they
There's
uncovered all the skeletons when they were digging the subway, what they did is they just took all of them and put them in one mass grave
Oh boy.
in, like, one of the parks in town instead of, like, trying to figure out who was who. They just put one mass grave and then just kept
I mean,
digging.
how
So I
would
was
you?
like,
Truthfully, how would
Yeah,
you figure
"I
out
know,
who
I
the
yeah,
know."
500-year-old skeleton was? You couldn't.
it's true. Let me ask you this: the spookiest thing you might have seen while in Boston,
Speaking of Boston,
was that hotel bar
well,
busy?
I did not go to the hotel bar,
You
but I
didn't
did
see it
go
at
to a
all.
haunted
You didn't like
hotel.
pass by.
I think I passed by it,
Was it
yes.
busy?
I It was, yes,
Oh my
yes.
god, nightmarish.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. No,
awful.
the entire, like, all of the hotels all around, uh, like, the
The convention
convention
center,
center
yeah.
were packed.
Mm,
After
mm-mm.
Acquisitions Incorporated, like, our crew did want to, have, like, a small, like, wrap
yeah.
party somewhere, and every bar we went to was so packed that we just, like, left and found this really dope spot that was not packed. We were the only people there, called Lord Hobo.
Okay.
Love it. Love it.
Had a
Just like
great
a
name.
hole in the wall, or
Yeah, it was like a little brewery, and it
hmm,
was, like, all the way at the other, like, it was only 2 blocks away from all the super busy hotel bars, and there was, like, no PAX people there, so it was just the Acquisitions
There
Incorporated
is
crew, and
nice.
that made me feel a little bit safer that it wasn't,
I
like,
don't know I
Sure.
don't
hundreds
know
of
which
people.
direction you went exactly, but there is like a comical delineation mark every time at PAX. So like people don't know PAX East. It is like not even in the city. There's like a river between it and the main city hub. And then there's the convention center here, and then like rows of hotels, and then bars and restaurants. But there's a
Yeah.
certain point where if you keep walking towards the city, those crowds vanish. It's like people
There's a
they're
limit.
like, I ain't walking.
Yeah.
Like, it's so if you just keep walking, you will find anything. So many
Mhm.
things that are just as good, but people are like, that's like 4 blocks, dude. I'm not doing that. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I was living it up. The hotel they got me was, like, over in Park Plaza, so, like, I went
That's
out for
perfect.
breakfast, had no waits, was no crowds, was not around a bunch of COVID people, got to go to, like, this cute little Armenian cafe. I was living my best life, and everyone was like, "Bronze, are you on the show floor?" And I'm sitting there eating, like, hummus and shakshuka and, like,
Sure.
I'm like, no, I'm not on the show floor." It's like 2 o'clock. I was living my best life.
Makes sense.
You made the best possible choices for yourself and coming back and working again still. Like,
Yeah.
I constantly am like, if I get sick, I haven't been sick, like cold sick in 2.5 years. If I get sick, my body may be like, well, this is it, bro. You had your good run. That's
Ye
it. You're done.
yeah,
I'm like,
Yeah. Imagine getting
yeah.
sick, man. I can't imagine that at all. That would be wild. That'd be so weird, Jesse.
not for me. I would go to every con and come back with a cold. I shake like so
Oh
many
no.
hands and give so many hugs. No hand sanitizer or whatever can save me. I always come back sick. And so I was like, bro, I'm not ready for that yet. I know what would happen. I'm not ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to bite that bullet. Give me another year.
I,
To like
I would never get
really
sick, but my wife travels too much is the unfortunate thing.
oof.
So if she gets sick, then I get sick. Or if the kid I also have a X factor, which is the kid who goes to a germ-filled building every single day for about 8 hours. And
Oh yeah.
that's a nightmare. You gotta be careful with that. So what was the flight like with what were the mask percentages on the flight, Bronze?
So I was wearing my KN95. The
Okay.
way there from Seattle to Boston, a majority of people were masked, and it was a red eye flight. So
Okay.
That checks out.
none of us were really eating or drinking, and it was like amazing. Landing in Boston, those motherfuckers don't mask. They
We don't
were
have
not
to.
about the mask. They were not about the mask life at
Yeah.
all.
That makes sense.
So like at the airport shuttle, and then getting on the plane from Boston to Seattle, those Bostonians were not masking up at all.
Makes sense.
So I was like surprised about that.
That checks out.
Yeah. My wife left again for another trip this morning to Huntington Beach. And so she's
She got
definitely
COVID.
getting COVID.
She got COVID. Huntington Beach, she got
I was like,
super COVID.
where exactly are you going to be going? And she goes, oh, I'm going to the blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, okay, where's that at? She goes, I don't know. So I looked up, oh, you're going to Huntington Beach. And she goes, what's that? I said, oh, okay.
They have literal like don't wear a mask riots.
Yeah.
Like yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is over for her.
I said, stay inside.
Oof.
Don't go out, and good luck.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird because like one thing I noticed is that I feel like a lot of younger people wear masks and a lot of Asians, but I think that's because we also lived
Well,
through like
that's
bird
culture over there.
flu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like so like I think masking up is like more it's not as big of a deal to us. So you usually see like a lot of Asian people, Indian people, young people wearing masks, but when you look at like older people, they don't like
They don't care.
and I'm like, but
Not at
aren't
all.
they like more at risk? Like
Sure.
Honest
they're
to
like,
God,
oh,
it's
they're
the same people though
uncomfortable.
that
I'm
are
like,
like,
you know what else
I'd
is
rather
uncomfortable?
die.
COVID.
Yeah.
They're just literally they're just like, I'd rather die than wear a
Pretty
mask.
stupid.
Like it is such a non-inconvenience, but like whatever.
Yeah. I also wonder too, because I don't live in like any country where masking has been normalized for the most part, from what we can tell. I wonder if like over there people get yelled at for wearing masks like they do here in America. Because like
I would wager
I'm so
not as
curious to
much.
know.
It is 100% a like cultural issue
Yeah.
rather than a scientific one. Literally, it's about like, if you wear a mask, you're a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, how did we get there?
I don't know.
How is that where we're
It's
at?
wild.
Like, you've chosen to wear a mask? Like, fine. Like, okay, doesn't affect me.
A lot of people say, well, like, well, if you want to protect yourself, you wear the mask. And the reality is like
Yeah.
those of us who've lived in countries where you don't want to spread a cold, the sick person wears a mask,
Right.
not
Right.
It's
everybody
a
else.
courtesy. Yeah.
Yes. It's like if you're sick and you have to work, you wear a mask to work.
Yeah.
And that's how you prevent everyone else from catching your germs. But so I don't understand why I still think 2 years into this pandemic, people have not looked into the science of masks and how they work and how they function. Because there's still like, well, if you want to wear one, you wear one. And I'm like, they only really work if we all wear them. That's really like
There's
their
a
their
fantastic
efficacy
like
goes down quite a bit if not
Man.
everyone's wearing them.
there's a graph, and I am really upset that I don't have it on me because I clearly don't know the actual numbers, but it is something along the lines of like it shows cloth mask and like, surgical mask and all that and K95 and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
But it's like if you wear it and you're not sick, but you're near someone who's sick, like if you're on a plane or whatever, the 95 can give you like 5 hours of protection. If you're around them for like 7, 8 more hours, it like the effectiveness goes down. But if you're sick and you're wearing one and you're on that plane, you're protecting everyone else for like 50 hours. Right. So it's like essentially the whole point, like no matter what. And they were saying like cloth mask really isn't going to help you all that much. Like things like that. They're like, which sucks because then people are like, then why even wear a mask?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh boy, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. Anyways, regardless, I'm glad PAX East was good for you, Bronze. Glad you had fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was
Yeah,
a
I'm
good time.
tired.
Yeah, those
Yeah, no,
trips always
I
are.
liked it. There wasn't to report back to the two of you. There wasn't really anything y'all missed in
Okay.
terms of like games and stuff like that because most of the international companies still aren't doing PAXs. So like
Sure.
Square Enix wasn't there. Like Sega wasn't there. I don't think Capcom was there. Sony, I don't think was there. Correct me if I was wrong. Like I said, I didn't spend that much time on the show floor, but like a lot of those companies weren't there. Namco Bandai, I don't believe was there. Um, so it was a lot of indies, but and I like indie games. A lot of those indies, you can actually already play them online. Like you
Yeah.
can get the demo now, so you don't need to wait in line for 3 hours to play them. I think Devolver had the most games that were interesting. They had this game called, I think, Trail to Yomi or Trail to Yumi. It's like this
Yeah.
black and white Kira
Yeah.
Kurosawa inspired game.
Mm-hmm.
That one looked good. Cult of the Lamb by them also looked good.
Yep.
Those were the two that I was like most interested in.
Yeah. Sounds like
It's
PAX.
yeah, I'm very curious because PAX has a thing where they have like a deal with those conventions where they have to like years in advance like buy those spots. So I wonder, what that means for future conventions and PAXs because everything's kind of like E3ing it now, where all these big companies are like, we don't actually need
We don't need these
to
big
go
booths.
to these things.
Yeah.
No wonder what that means for future big conventions like PAX because South
Well,
is
I've
already
always
gone.
had this
So
like theory, and let me know if I sound crazy, but I've never
Always.
understood why conventions like this, where people what they really want is they want to play the game, maybe get a pin commemorating that they beat the demo at the thing, right?
Yeah.
Why don't they have like a digital fast pass queue a la Disney? Instead of having people stand in line for 8 hours, why don't you go in the morning, scan a code, get in a digital queue, and then you get a window. You get a text that's like, hey, your time slot is between 2 to 3 p.m. Come back in that time. How is it that we are in the year 2022 and this is not a thing? Because most people will stand in line for an hour, for 45 minutes, but 5 hours is too long. So
I'll
I
tell
don't know
you
about
why.
y'all. I don't play games at these conventions because I'm not going to stand in line for 4 hours to play a demo. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know exactly why. It's cause these companies uh love the photo op of a giant line to play their game.
It's true.
And
It
that
also
is more
costs
That's
a lot of
valuable
money.
stupid.
to them. Yeah, it's more valuable to them than any kind of like letting them have access. They would rather you wait in line for 4 hours and not get a chance to play than you actually get a chance to play.
Yeah.
But there's so
Because then the
much
story is like,
floor
I waited so
space.
long, and it was so many people, and they're like, yes, that's right. Everyone loves our game. Investors.
But then there's just like there's so much space that's just used up by people queuing in an already packed convention hall. They've got to have people standing around to mind the line that they have to pay that are annoyed, kind of fielding these questions of, oh, the wait from here is 4 hours. Like, I think conventions should be a celebration of like gaming and nerdery. And like, I
Long
don't
ago,
think
there
that
was a
should be it.
CoxCon, a convention, a perfect place before COVID. Before COVID ruined everything, it was a perfect place where afterwards after you got to do all the things, we'd all just go to the bar and just drink together. And it was a great time.
It's true.
Yeah, I just feel like that's like, to me, that's like what people like. That would be so much more fun because then instead of like, what did you do today? Well, I stood in line for 8 hours and played 2 games. It's like, oh, I played these 4 games and I got to go to this thing. Like a lot of people don't even get to see everything at PAX. I just feel like a digital queue would be better, but maybe I don't understand it like these people do.
Yeah. It's because you're thinking
Yeah.
about what would be best, not about what's most profitable.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a
I
it's a
would
crazy
never
thing,
spend
Bronze.
$45 billion on Twitter. So I
Yeah.
am just not.
Exactly.
Yes, well, you've never gotten into an actual argument where you were like, I could make this better and control it if I had control. You know what? I have money. Like, no, you've never been that person. You've never said like, you know what? Here's how I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I
I'm
don't
gonna go
like
to
this
Jerry
thing, so
and
I'm
be
gonna
like,
buy it.
listen, I'm gonna buy PAX. I'm gonna make it better.
Yeah, like that's not where you're
There you
at. You're
go.
not like, I hate this thing, so I'm buying it. Like what, bro?
All right,
What?
Jerry.
That's how it happens.
What's the deal?
That's how it happens. Anyways, let's
I'm
talk.
buying PAX
Crazy.
for $100.
Let's talk Marvel. There's not too much going on. However,
Ooh.
there is a new Lego set. Bronze, you want to guess the name of the Lego set? Do you specifically want to guess the name of the Lego set?
What? The Lego set
What's the new Lego set that they just announced?
for Ragnarok?
Love and Thunder, yeah.
For Love and Thunder. I don't know.
It's the goat boat. They announced the goat boat.
Okay, but Goat
Sorry,
Boat is better
pardon?
than what y'all were saying.
Pardon?
It's the old goat boat. Thor's goat boat, you know?
Better than throat.
I'm do.
The
All right, I
goat
was about
boat.
to say, the goat boat is the name of it.
Yeah, the goat boat. It's he's got two goats in actual Thor lore that pull the boat. This is his spaceship that I think he builds probably in the movie. It's the old goat boat. You can get it. It's 564 pieces and $50 starting on April 25th.
You know what I hate the most about this?
What's that?
Scroll up a little bit. Just scroll up a tiny bit. Giant ass stone Korg is in Lego form the lamest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just him with like a rock hat.
Yeah.
It sucks so much. It's so not good. It's so not good.
It's not.
It looks bad.
But how were they supposed to fix it though? Because they always have the
They
same
made-
model from the head down.
They've
Yeah.
made all sorts of fun, like weird looking Lego characters. They made goats, literal goats for this. They could have made like
Yo,
a beefy
what are
honky
you
chonker.
doing?
They did make some goats. That's true. It looks like the goat,
Stop it.
the houseboat opens up, I guess, and unfolds or something. I don't know. That's
Into
the
a
old goat
house,
boat.
maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Into a house.
I don't know if that's a Lego thing or if that's like a movie thing or what.
Lego does that stuff all the time, so you can like get inside a thing. What's
Yeah.
going on with
Oh.
Gore? Does he have a sword?
Yeah, he's got the all black. It's just it's literally a
The
completely
Lego
black
version
sword.
sucks. The Lego version is just like,
Yeah.
we got any swords hanging around? Sir, I think there was one in that tiki drink I ordered the other day. That's the one. Put it in. We're good.
It looks real dumb. Yeah. Anyways, that's new. What else? Charlie Cox is doing some new ads to promote Daredevil on Disney Plus, which is kind of weird to do ads for a thing you filmed and wrapped years ago, but why not, I guess?
They know that because he was in the movie, that's synergy. They're like,
think that's some
Charlie,
brand
buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you saw me in the movie. Now watch my series on Disney Plus.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they'd be like that.
Not related to the MCU, but related to Marvel and comics. They made Thor, basically in the current run of the comics, Thor's no longer worthy to lift his hammer. But now
Yeah.
Thor has become the immortal Iron Fist. Which is like, what?
Well, we've seen many in Iron Fist. So
It's kind of wild.
Fine. Yeah.
It's in Avengers Forever #8. He went to mystical Kunlun to learn the teachings of the immortal Iron Fist. Never thought I'd see the day. Maybe he punched a dragon. He looks kind of, I don't know if I like the art on this. He looks a little bit like Danny Rand.
Don't say that.
He does.
Oof. He definitely, you know what?
He looks like he was at the January 6th.
Yeah.
He does
Am I
have
wrong?
kind of like I have a manifesto vibe to him.
Yeah.
Right? Chat, tell me I'm wrong. Like, he looks like he was there.
You know what?
Like-
I'm gonna say the thing that needs to be said.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it.
All right.
Blonde beards always look weird. I'm saying it. It needs to be said. It needs to be said. Blonde beards look weird. Fact. It's a fact. Look, someone had to say it. Think of it. Name me a person who's blonde, like
I'm
that
running
color
through my
blonde,
head.
who has
Yeah.
a great beard. Does not exist. Does not exist. Find someone. There are many. Look, I'm not saying blonde people in general can't be attractive. They are many, and in fact, a lot of them are. But here's the thing: blonde dudes have like Obi-Wan isn't blonde though. I'm talking this blonde. Obi-Wan is like a strawberry blonde. You know what I mean? He's got some brown in there. I'm saying this Chris Hemsworth. This isn't Chris Hemsworth hair. I'm saying this blonde doesn't exist. This
If it's like a pure white
Dolph
blonde.
Lundgren.
What?
who?
Dolph
Dolph
Lundgren.
Lundgren? Where is Dolph Lundgren in a beard? I'm gonna look this up. Dolph Lundgren beard.
Johnny Mnemonic.
He's just got a beard.
I see one version of him where it's red, but with that said, it doesn't mean it's good.
He looks fine.
It doesn't mean it's good.
He looks fine.
I'm just saying, put Dolph Lundgren's beard against any other beard in the history of beards, and you will say, nah, it's not as good. I'm just putting it out there. Dolph
All
Lundgren
right.
got great hair. Beard, not a fan.
I'm
Not a
sorry, blonde people of our community.
It's the hill
I
I'm going to
tried
die
fight
on.
for
I'm
them.
not saying, look, I'm not
tried.
saying you won't
If
look
it's like
better
a
than
dirty
me.
blonde, though, it's fine. He's saying like if it's a pure white, like
Pure
dyed blonde,
like this
Justin
blonde.
Timberlake circa
Justin
NSYNC.
Timberlake with a beard would look
Yeah.
atrocious. Don't do it, Justin.
What does he?
You would. It
Probably
would be
has
the
that.
worst thing in the world.
Let's see. No, he looks
Geralt
fine with
has
a beard.
white hair.
He looks fine with a beard,
Well-
but he doesn't. He's not naturally blonde.
Well, there you go.
So
I'm talking this blonde, like this kind of blonde, like this, like Norwegian blonde. Don't do it.
sure,
Don't do it.
makes sense. And
It's
then
a
what
hill I'll
else?
die on.
What else is there? James Gunn tweeted 3 days ago that he's apparently paid $75 for the rights to use the song in Guardians, as well as $1 million to use rights. What song do you think cost $1 million? Who's out there charging $1 million for rights to use in a Guardians movie?
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how
Yeah.
many. Like, depending on the song, depending on what they want to use it for. Like a great example is when we were doing Monster Prom, we both times for 1 and 2 paid for end credits songs. And the amount of like legal work, it's like, all right, well, how much of the song are you using?
Yeah.
And where are you using it? And what part are you using? And how long do you intend to use? So like imagine, so one of the things we had to do was like, all right, well, we intend to use this for the life of the game. And so that's why we went with like very indie bands, right? Where it's like, all right, well, that's fine. Imagine if you are a known commodity and for the life of Guardians 3, you are associated with it. That's a lot. Like that could be 100, 200, who knows? That could be forever. So you're going to charge an arm and a leg for whatever that is.
It
And
said,
depending on the band, who knows?
said it was probably the only song I'd ever want to pay that much for. It was a rare case of not getting the rights before we shot, changing the song in post, and really needing the song for the movie to work. I don't know what song was like pivotal in Guardians 1 or 2 for the movie to work.
It could be the, one of the things James Gunn does a lot is he will have a scene that is like pretty much beat by beat, like shot, change, angle change for the music. And then he'll do stuff where it's like, this thing is what I need in order to make this shot work, right? Like he'll in his head be like, this is how I want it to look. This is what I want it to be. And this is the emotion I want it to elicit.
That's true.
So
It could have been
You
maybe
know.
the opening to Guardians 2, I guess. I don't
mean-
know if Mr. Blue Sky, though, or whatever would cost that much.
I thought, so you're talking about 3?
No, he's just saying in general. He paid $1 million.
You paid $1 million?
Yeah, not for Guardians 3. Could have maybe been hooked on I don't know. None of those really. The chain.
I mean, it also could have been.
Maybe.
It could have been. Oh boy, the song that was literally played 8,000 times in the second movie.
Brandy.
Yeah. I mean, that was like he said he needed it, and that was part of the story. It's literally lines of dialogue in it. But I feel like that would be pre-production. They'd have
That's
to
from
know, right?
I like Looking Glass would charge $1 million for rights to the song.
Jackson 5, I don't think. I want to know how much, because the only time that I really, really loved when they did a song for, the Guardians crew is in the Avengers movie where they were doing Rubber Band Man. I want to know how much that cost, because that was a great scene, and I always think about that scene.
Wait, what scene is this?
Well, like it's literally just that it's their introduction in the Avengers films, and it's just like the one where they're just like "Hammer down a walking cane." That song is hilarious. It's about like an old man who plays a rubber band for music, and it's incredible. I want to know how much that cost. I would love to know how much that song cost.
Is that where they start in space at the beginning of Infinity War?
It's all of them in space. Yeah.
Yeah, Infinity War. It's the beginning of Infinity War. Okay.
Yeah, every character is them singing. And then they all have like a little moment to reintroduce them to the audience. And it's a perfect scene. It's perfect. Yeah. And I love it. I keep thinking about that. Like, what a great intro scene that was. Because you got to see all the characters and the ways that they interact with each other via one song. Sure. I was like, that's a genius. Whoever thought that up, genius. Love it.
Sure.
And now I think about that song all the time because it's insane. Go find the lyrics to Rubber Band Man and be like, what the hell is this song about? It's very good.
Yeah. The other thing, James Gunn tweeted out a wrap gift for wrapping on Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. And in the ornaments, which I'll show you here, one of the 8 ornaments features a character that's not yet been in proper Guardians movie lore. It's Cosmo. Cosmo's got an ornament here.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone's thinking Cosmo's going to have his big debut in terms of probably an actively speaking role and all that stuff in the holiday special, which would be great because Cosmo's a fantastic character. We need more of him. We'll see if he's actually there, though.
Is Groot? Oh, that's fascinating. So it looks like
Groot looks old here.
Yeah, between Thor and this, yeah. Groot finally ages because he's a teen in Thor, or it looks like it in the trailer. Although that could be changed. They could have put him in there because they don't want to show his new look.
I mean, they're probably embargoed. Like, the only reason this got tweeted out was probably because James Gunn's like, I fucking made the movie. I'm going to tweet it out. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Young Groot is so annoying. I'd wager most young anything is annoying, but that's just me.
That's true. That is true. And then that's pretty much it. We covered the Love and Thunder trailer last week.
Mm-hmm.
We had the 1-year anniversary of Falcon becoming Captain America this past week. That happened. It's been a year since that show was out, if you can believe that. Time's passing way too fast. I guess we're just getting older because that's the thing that happens. And then, that's it. Let's talk episode 4 of Ye Old Moon Knight. The best episode yet? Is that safe to say?
I mean, I would say it's the one I enjoyed the most so far. So yes.
Confirmed. The best episode. Bronze, are you considering it? Yes or no?
Guys, friends.
Uh-oh.
The second half of the episode is fucking brilliant. But the first half is kind of ass.
What?
And the second half makes you forget it until you go back and watch it first.
I've watched it twice. I thought the first half was great. What was wrong with the first half?
It was... First off, in places, it looks fucking cheap. Like, and it seems like the second half of it, there's just places in the first half that to me looked super cheap, super B movie. But then
Huh.
there's other things about it where the writing, I know that I kind of like was dissing the writing last time where things felt really awkward, where certain logic stuff like wasn't flowing for me. And that kind of came through in this episode in the beginning as well. Um there's there's so obviously like things that are wrong that I feel like these two should pick up on. Like when they enter the camp, it's
Mm-hmm.
very clear people have left in the middle of dining.
Mm.
And like neither of them comments on this like whatsoever. And it's
Because they
like,
left in a hurry type deal.
how would you not notice that? Like that, like, and then you see like a bloody crate and stuff, and you're like, okay. And then they notice things and then just keep brushing past them, like, oh, what would they have been shooting at? Huh. Weird. Anyways, and it's just like, come on. There's clearly something going on here. Clearly, guys. And just like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have advanced. I just feel like at some point you would think that they would expect that there's some kind of weird mummy situation because it's just so clearly laid out.
Sure. I mean, you're not wrong. I still think they had to move forward regardless, though. Like, there's
But
nothing they could have. Like, what are they gonna do? Get anti-mummy bullets before they go in? Like, what would you expected them
no,
to
but
go and
like
do?
proceed with some caution. They see a table with bloody canopic jars and entrails on it, and they're like,
Sure.
"Oh, well, that's rather disturbing." "Oh, yes, it is. Okay. Well, let's look for the first half. Or let's look for the tomb." It's like, I understand they should look for the tomb, but you would think at some level they would like
It feels like this is the Marvel
acknowledge the
fallacy.
tension or be scared or
But if but
something. Like,
but the thing is, I think we are unfortunately we are coming to everything when we talk about everything on this entire podcast.
Uh huh.
Coming to even when I complain about like a giant statue, uh,
In the middle of
everything
the
we do
ocean.
comes from like a place of rational thought. But in this world, Layla hangs out with a man who becomes a moon knight, and
Mm.
they're actively going into a temple to find a alligator crocodile god and against a dude who has a staff that sends people to hell that summons dog creatures. Like, I think a bloody table is the literal least of their concerns. I keep thinking about like, of course that's insane that they're like, is this canopic jaws? Mark, do you think it's canopic? Like, no. Who the hell cares? There's literal skeleton men running around. Undead have risen.
yeah, I guess
It's
they
the
were
end
for
of the
me, they were just
world.
like a little too casual. Like, I feel like it's not an actor's fault, but like a director's fault where it's like, maybe we should be a little apprehensive or sell this dread a little bit. Cause it's just for me, there's places where it's hard to watch, where it's like, they're like, oh, there's a blood trail. Anyway. And it's like,
They weren't that nonchalant. That's you embellishing it. What are you talking about?
I loved, like, I thought it was super neat that they did the things they did when it comes to like the let me change that. The
Okay.
first 5 minutes I did not like. I did not like I hate when directors make the choice of like, it's night, so let's make it very dark. Like that first scene where they're out in the desert is so dark. I had to rewatch it on a different screen to figure out like what Layla was doing. I was like, wait, so I didn't know she rolled him down a hill the first time I watched. I was like, what happened to Steven? Where'd he go? I realized like now it was so dark. I hate when directors do that. But then after that point, I thought it was super neat that the bits we were getting between Steven and Mark about like, dude, you falling for my wife, bro? I thought that was super funny and super clever.
Well, that's also
And
just that was weird. That, like, of all the things, that was the weird part to me. Like,
I loved that.
I started to
because
think
What?
about
like
the morals
that
of
was
that.
weird.
Well, it was weird because, like, the morals of that, I started thinking, like, well, if you have different personalities and one of those personalities makes out with your wife, but that person, like, how does that
but it
actually
wasn't
work
about
out?
that though. Like it was him trying to like they were having a fight over who should be in charge. and it was him trying
Sure.
to like reassert like, bro, really, like that kind of stuff, because he
Yeah.
wasn't in
I
charge
mean,
anymore.
it was a
So it's just
comedic
like,
bit, is what it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I loved all of that. I think the thing that Bronze brought up about like the campsite, it is so very obvious that like something went wrong. So
Hmm.
the fact that they're like, all right, suit up, let's go. I would be like, timeout. What's up? But they were on a mission. And so I don't blame them. They were like, we got to get down there because there's no one here, which means they're down there. So we got to get there.
Right.
And and then once they got inside, everything I loved. I loved even Alexander being the avatar of
Okay,
Amit. I
that
thought
was
that was
cool.
great.
I thought that
That
was
was
going to be
really
Rama,
cool.
or what's his name?
Ramatut.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the big reveal. But even the reveal that we got, I'm still cool with. The fact that he was like an
Yeah.
avatar and makes
That's
sense
cool as
why
hell.
he
I
was so
thought that was
powerful. Yeah.
I thought that was super cool. Was very into it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the opening scene just because I hate when like villains are really dumb.
Those like goons that were like, let's find him. Also, I brought all this artillery in the back of my car.
Yes, it was so stupid. Like,
Oh, yeah, that was a
she,
little weird. Yeah.
she like gets their attention, like she gets their attention, hides behind the truck, and they shoot the truck, and then they go
Also,
around, and she just goes around the other side and throws the flare. And I'm like,
Does that even work that way? Like, was that an action movie thing? Like, I've never thrown or been around exposed
this is the stupidest thing I'd ever
case
seen in
of
my
bullets.
life.
But if you throw a flare into a case of bullets, do the bullets explode? I don't think they would.
I would wager it doesn't matter where you hide on what side of a truck. If they're firing an actual mounted gun
You
at
would die.
you would die.
Yeah.
It would go
Yeah.
through the car and kill
And
you.
then
There's
to get even crazier, the truck works after that.
Yeah.
Even though they're like do, it works. I was like, so you're telling me they didn't hit the engine at all?
the good news
I don't
is
know, but
I
that's
didn't
just
see
a
most of that
personal pet
scene
peeve, okay?
because I couldn't see what was going on.
understand before chat gets into tizzy and they're like, Bronze hates everything. I understand that, that this is a personal thing. I just like when villains are always one step ahead, not
Mm.
one step behind, like
Well, that
that's
was
what I
like
loved about
unnamed
Daredevil.
goon, so you
Yes,
can't blame
I know,
unnamed goon for being an idiot.
but so many of the unnamed goons in this have just been so fucking stupid.
Well, if they
that
were
there's
smart,
no
Bronze, they
viable
would be like
threat.
They wouldn't
working
be
a different
unnamed
job
goons.
and not a goon.
That's true.
Goon doesn't require a lot of intelligence. Goon is just like, do you follow orders and are you willing to kill? That's it. That's all goons do. Goons aren't like, well, sir, if we just took a moment and assess the situation. No, that guy's killed. You don't hire smart goons. So it checks out. I've watched enough
But
80s
they're
cartoons to
not
know that
goons,
checks out.
right? They're supposed to be like followers of Ahmet.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
like, are they
mercenaries.
the smartest followers of Amit? Like,
They're goons.
they're goons. They're goons.
They weren't. They would probably be named in the credits of the show. Goon number 1, goon number 2,
Yeah.
goon number 3.
Goon with hat.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
Goon with
Here's my
tie.
thing.
Yeah.
The reason I point out how silly it was because this is just me thinking from the standpoint of like narrative, right? Because that's what I always pay attention to. That scene with the bullets and the mounted gun does nothing to further the plot, establish. It's not a narrative device. They could have just as easily had her grab him, pull him into the truck, and drive away, and literally nothing would have changed. It's not stimulating in the way the scenes from Black Widow were stimulating in an action sense. It's not interesting the way the Hawkeye fight scenes are great. The fight itself was very boring because the goons did not pose a plausible threat. At that point, just take them out. Like, why shoot all this footage where it's not, to me, it wasn't an interesting or fun action scene. Unlike the scene of Layla and Moon Knight fighting in the last episode where Layla breaks her necklace apart and starts throwing down. That part was very cool. I liked that. So that action scene serves to at least entertain the audience. This one, I was like, why are we even here? Why doesn't she just grab him, pull him in the truck? Let's move on to something more interesting.
I think it served to allow. So the previous scene that you're talking about, that was Layla and Mark. And Layla and Mark have fought together before. This scene, when the combat's over, or I guess the hide and seek is over,
Yeah.
Steven's the one who sees it. And so for the rest of the episode, when Mark's like, bro, Let me have control. He's like, no, I'm not alone. I have Layla. Layla's here to protect me. We don't need you to help. And so that's why Steven can be the one to decipher stuff during the episode, and Layla can be the one to take the action lead, so that you can have like nerdy dude and then like Layla Croft do her thing. And that's kind of like where the show is.
Sure.
And it gives them that kind of out of like, well, we don't need like a badass assassin to come sneak into here. What we need now is the dude who's like, I can read hieroglyphics. And then there's also the Layla Steven talking about the dad and learning more about the dad kind of thing. And that kind of, it like gave us a gateway. Was it handled well? Agreed. The first 5 minutes, not the best, but I understand why they did it. Now, if it was like done, or it was like at least one light,
rushing to get to the second half, which I understood once I got to the second half because I really liked the second half of the show. It went a little bit Legion. It got really it got very interesting really fast. I was really happy with it. But the first half, I was just like, did we even need this much of that? Like,
sure. I thought that was the scariest that MCU's ever been, to be honest. In terms
of zombie men?
Yeah, that's the scariest the MCU's ever done.
Can I tell you, whoever the sound design guy was,
with the clicks,
the fact that he made them sound like raptors. That like click click is the raptor like foot thing. Yo, whoever designed that, brilliant. I want to give them a round of applause because that was like,
I feel like they ripped off Last of Us a little bit. You didn't feel that way?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like echolocation. Like I was like, okay, I see like probably a good thing to steal, but also feel like y'all kind of took Naughty Dog's thing a wee bit, you know?
It was whatever.
I think it was great. Yeah. I loved it. And because it doesn't sound natural. Like the noise doesn't sound like anything that exists in reality, like that weird noise, and it's unsettling. Great. It's great. I loved all of that. And then when we got to the second part and I realized I was like, oh boy, here we go. Obviously we don't know what's going to happen next week, but I almost felt like I wish the show was more of this.
Started there? Yeah.
We have 4 episodes now, and only one half of those 4 episodes is the part where I was like, this is the Moon Knight I wanted to see. Mm-hmm. This is it. And I'm kind of disappointed that when I finally got there, it was so good. Even Ethan Hawke as just like the psychiatrist, his doctor, the way he played that scene, I watched it again. I was like, he's so good as just sitting there being like, tell me, Mark, Steven, like what's, like him being like, well, this movie probably didn't have a high budget. Like the way he does that and acts in that scene, I was like, this is what I wanted the entire time. This is the movie, like the TV show I wanted. Just weird. Like they clear as day set it up. And then we're like, no, which I love the fact that like banging on a coffin, he opens it and out pops Mark. And you're like, ooh. And then there's another one. They're like, no, and they move on. I was like, oh, it's so good. They're just fucking with us now. They're just messing with us. I wish that was the whole show. I wish the whole show was like, and then a weird hippo-headed nurse. That's all I want.
Up until you see the second, or till you find Steven, when I watched it a second time, I was completely under the impression that like, oh, this is real. Like this is actually the real world that Mark lives in.
And they should have sold like.
But then they showed Steven, and I was like, well, this can't be real now.
Right. They immediately they resolved the thing immediately. Like the whole is it real, is it not, is done in this episode. Is 100%. Or next episode starts and the person who was a hippo is a normal person and is like, what are you doing? And he's by himself again. And it's like we're back in like, is it real or is it not? I don't know. But man, I wish that was the whole show. That would have been so wild.
Yeah.
I feel like the obvious way they get out of this like mind prison now is they bust open the third coffin.
Maybe.
I have a feeling.
I don't. Yeah, I wonder when that's gonna happen because we only have
There's only 2 episodes left. Yeah.
I guess it would have to be the next episode, but I don't know. Like, as a plot device, I think what eventually is going to happen is exactly what happened in the comic run that we read, where Mark and Steven and he's potentially what's in that third coffin isn't Jake, it's like Moon Knight, right? It's like the costumed Moon Knight, the full like cape and everything.
Oh, you're so smart.
And then
That's exactly what Marvel would do.
and then
It
they're going to
wouldn't
be
be
like,
Jake.
we
It
have
would
to
be like
accept all these different personalities for us
the
to really
third
be like,
personality
yeah,
is Moon Knight. Oh,
yeah,
what a Marvel thing to do. You're totally right.
yeah.
Ugh,
But I still
Because I
think
think
there's a third
it can't end
personality.
any other way. I don't know about y'all. I don't want Stephen Grant or Mark Spector to go away.
Oh, I don't think they're going away. I think they'll always be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that one of them should be the dominant personality. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Especially
Right.
when you start digging into like why he's divorcing Layla. Like it's
Right.
actually not it makes a lot of sense why. Like I don't think it's not because he doesn't love her. I think it's 100% because he's terrified that,
Well,
It's the
she's
Spider-Man
gonna
thing.
become the next Avatar.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's
Steven
doing it.
admitted that much this episode, which I was glad that they didn't
Yeah.
hold that. I'm also glad they didn't like keep this weird, not weird. They didn't keep the plot device of like, oh, well, he killed your dad type deal till the final episode. The fact that that's
And I
out now,
thought
I think is good.
Yeah, and I thought it was
Mhm.
super interesting to see even though it is silly to have like a weird love story inserted. It wasn't a love story. It was literally her just being like, "Oh my god, it's the man I love, but he now talks to me." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she was like going
Mhm.
through some shit, and Steven was like, "A woman who likes me already?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no, there would be some weird tension there for sure.
Sure.
But
It'd be a
it's a
little
lot of
awkward."
it is like the weirdness from Wonder Woman, right? Like some of this is because I'll never
Except
get
not
over
acted
that. Never
upon.
mind. I'm not gonna drag Wonder Woman right now because that shit was fucking crazy. That shit was fucking crazy that she was into a dude that was possessed by the spirit of okay, never mind, never mind. We're not going there. Even though that's insane.
Sure.
But okay, like some of what, in my opinion, Layla likes about Stephen Grant is that he looks like this person she already has a lot of attachment to without a lot of his issues. I don't think
Right.
she truly likes Stephen Grant. I think to her
No.
this is like the version of her husband she always wanted.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is a Mark
absolutely. Yes.
Spector that's nerdy about the same things as she is, that is not afraid to tell her everything,
Yeah.
right? But in my mind, she's still in love with Mark Spector. This
Right.
is
Oh,
just
yes. This
like
is
copium.
spoilers for Final Fantasy, but this is 100% the Aerith Cloud situation.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say, I'm gonna put a pause on that and let people figure that out for themselves. For all you
Mhm.
Aerith Cloud stands, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's not who she's into. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like it reminds you of a person, and you just like, oh my god, it's the person I love, but like the best version of themselves. But it's all like bullshit. You're just in that moment. And I thought that was interesting that the two of them had that kind of like realization together as they had
Mhm.
that like kind of awkward kiss, or they were like, I was waiting for her to be like, after they kissed, I was thinking she was gonna be like, it's the person you're kissing, even if they look the same, I would 100% bet that a Steven kiss and a Mark kiss are different. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
The Steven kiss was already like the most awkward. Like, shout out to Oscar Isaac for doing the most awkward kiss.
it looked awkward.
One
I
could
thought she was going to
imagine.
comment on it.
He's such a
I
good
thought for sure she
actor.
was going to
He's
be like,
incredible. Yeah.
it's not Mark. Like you would know, even though Steven is 100% like the man you want, it's not the dude you fell in love with.
Dude, his 100%. Yeah.
yeah.
The acting, to go back to that real quick, there's so many moments in this where it's like, Jesus Christ, he's such a good actor. The one where they're in the Alexander Toombs area and he goes from Steven to Mark in like a split second, completely different. That was awesome. Also, if you go back to when he gets shot by Arthur twice and he's falling back, you can actually see Mark reacting to being shot in his face, and then Steven reacting to being shot in his face, like at the same time somehow. It's really
Yeah.
fascinating to go watch the different like facial reactions to it. I thought that
I
was
just-
incredible.
He is such a good actor. All I'm going to say, I think this sums it up perfectly. My mom is like a casual Marvel fan of the like. I guess if it's on, I'll watch it. She's never been like, well, that was. I literally get text messages from her after she's done watching, and she's like, "That was great." So
Yeah.
all I'm saying
That
is,
works.
like, the man draws a crowd, and he can act. He is the perfect vessel for this entire show.
I agree.
So they nailed this one.
I think all the acting's
but
good.
like overall, Moon Knight's overall, it's a pretty good show.
Yeah. I do wonder.
Would I say it's better than Loki? I don't know. I can't say that yet.
Loki has like much more of a impact, I think, on the MCU, so it's hard to compare the two shows on like what's better. But
Moon Knight made me want to go back and rewatch Loki, and so I started it. And I have to say, the reason Loki fucking slaps is the pacing. They've never nailed that pacing again. I watched episode 1 again last night on the plane. Man, that show gets up and running within the first 30 goddamn fucking seconds. They did not take 3 goddamn episodes to tell you the premise. He is already suited up and training to be a TVA agent.
He's also a character we know, so they didn't have to.
Right. They had an easier job.
But it's just fat. They were
very
just
good. You're right.
It's we've had characters that we've known before on the other shows too. They just did it well. Like you end the first episode, you know the premise of the series, you know where you're going, what's up. This is not the same Loki that you're familiar with because this Loki did not get his mom killed. This Loki was not, they kind of reset your expectations. This is a completely different character that's gotten a new start after being defeated by the Avengers. This is not the person you know. Now let's go and tell this person's story. It was really good. And just like the speed, and it had jokes, like it's just really concise writing. Like they had it dialed down to like where every moment on camera is establishing something about the universe. Like literally every moment, standing in line, getting a ticket, you got Miss Minutes in the background telling you the entire lore of the universe. Like every single question that you're asking yourself, well, what about this? What about this? What about the Infinity Stone? They don't work here. Is answered very concisely, very precisely in the first episode. That's insane. It's just a writing triumph, really.
Yep. I can't disagree.
Well, I mean, if you say that, the writer of that show, a dude I worked with before, is the writer of freaking Multiverse of Madness. So
yeah, I expect to have that same conciseness where it's not like, why are we spending time on this? Like, I think it's going to be like really cut and dried, which is good because Multiverse of Madness has a lot to tackle, right?
It's got a lot.
We've got to introduce America Chavez. We've got to wrap up Scarlet Witch's storyline, and we have to deal with this other big bad that is inevitably going to be there because I refuse to believe that Scarlet Witch is going to be the big bad of the movie.
Yeah, we'll see.
So it's going to be interesting for that. But what I think like part of the reason I loved the second half of this so much is it was like Lemire's run of Moon Knight.
It was,
It was giving me big vibes of like that scene where he's talking to his therapist and she's like, hey, Moon Knight is like a little comic you've been drawing and you've been in this asylum since you were 12 and this is a delusion. And then there's like these two, and they even had the 2 orderlies. And then he's all of a sudden sees her and it's Ahmet in like a pencil skirt. And like the 2 orderlies have these jackal heads and he starts to flip out. And in that moment in the comic book, you can't really tell if this is once again like the character losing it or if the asylum is indeed fake and that's how Ahmed is fucking with him and kind of trapping him so that she won't be defeated. I love that they like flipped that on its head, and instead of having a random lady in a pencil skirt, they put the avatar of Ahmet as the therapist. I thought that was very creative, very interesting twist. But yet everywhere you look, you see canopic jars. You see the inner structure of the temple. It's just been white. It's just been painted white.
That set, I think that set was all practical, or at least a lot of it was practical, and it looked fucking awesome.
It was insane.
The entire time was thinking, where was this filmed? Because it did like
they talk a lot about how it's all practical. So
yeah, it had the brickwork. I was like,
it looks
where is this at? That would be the best office to have. Like that place looked awesome. Yeah, I was super into that.
Yeah, I thought it was
amazing.
Very good.
And I never knew if they were gonna go like this was the most comic booky episode, so of course that made me happy. the transition when he's like falling through the water and then you're in a classic movie, that is like 100% Lemire shit, where you would have had a full page art
Oh
of
yeah,
like
the
him
aspect ratio is
falling.
great.
Yeah, and then you would turn the page and it would be something completely different. Like that was like peak like Lemire shit. So that made me really happy. And I wasn't sure if they would ever go that crazy with it. Until we saw Tavaret at the end. I really was like, there's no way they're gonna have a lady in a pencil skirt with a crocodile head. Like, I would love that. And then I was wrong. Marvel was like, why not, fam? Here's a hippo lady. I was like, yes!
I think that was
Yes! I was like
also
screaming.
I think that was also one of those things that can only happen in like film or TV, because in a comic, right, you would just read the line "hi" and it would just be like, "Oh, it's a talking hippo. That's weird." But the
Yeah.
reason that this was so much of a shocker is because when she says "hi," she sounds like a very sweet lady. And you're
Yeah.
not expecting that
Yeah.
voice to come from a hippo who's in front
Oh
of
my
you
God.
in like a really fucked up situation that's been tense the entire I loved that moment. And then to have the two of them just scream at the top of their lungs, it was great. That was
Yeah,
a
great
great
acting.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
Fantastic.
both respond in like a way that Steven would respond, in a way that Mark would respond in their scream, which I also thought was like incredible. I don't know where we go though, right? Like she seemed to be a good character, or at least in the lore of her is that she is a good character. She's the goddess of rebirth, so
Sure.
maybe she's like
That's why
in
she
this
would be there.
place to
Yeah,
help
that's why
out.
she would
I
be
don't
there.
know.
Well, she was also missing. Jesse might know more about this since Jesse's a history nerd.
We need to
Isn't
talk
she
about that
related
opening
to
scene.
Assis?
Yeah, because you're right.
We do need to talk about the opening scene. But isn't she related to Assis?
There's a Jesse moment here.
That's a
That's just
that I do not know. I simply don't know that.
I'm trying to like really plumb the depths of my brain hard because I used to be super into Egyptian lore. Um, I feel like she's related to Assis, who was on the Ennead. I
Hmm.
don't think that Tavaret
I
is
guess
in
you
the
can just
Ennead.
look it up.
Let me look. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's like a part of. You know how the three were named and they were like the main.
People.
They were the
Yeah.
main part of that council. Let me look. I'm looking it up now. Da, da, da. Okay, so she inhabits the Nile.
It's a fantastic. I don't know what they intend to do with. Yeah, I honestly, I'm not. I'm not sure of her relations to other gods. I have to dig into that.
Chat was saying, or a person in chat was saying that in the end credit scene, she's in one of the statues, just like Khonshu. So I wonder, like, how they're able to, if that's true, how they're able to have a conversation with her, or if that end credit scene means anything to begin with, apart from just being
It could.
an
I
end
mean,
credit.
it could very well be that when, because he's the avatar of Khonshu, his
Right.
Khonshu has imbued him some power, and upon death, he gets sucked into whatever, I don't know, limbo all the gods are in because
That'd
they
be
have been
awesome if
split in
so.
stone. And so, like, all the other gods could be there. They could all be like, "Hey, bro, like, how's it going?" What? I mean, that would also explain why potentially a part of I guess it wouldn't explain why the orderlies are the cops, but it could in theory explain why Harrow is there because he has been two avatars now.
Mm.
And so like, but it's most likely just a dream. You know what I mean? It's most likely just a weird trippy dream.
Well, I mean, it could also be the thought that like they're in this sort of purgatory, right?
Right.
And maybe for Mark that manifests as a um asylum because that's what he's most afraid of. But when we start looking at the braziers tipping and stuff, it's very clear that they're inside a temple.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be
Right.
that what he's seeing is an asylum, but like for Tavar, it could be she's inside the pyramid. that they were sealed in. Like that could very well be it. Because as like the dream is crumbling, to quote Inception, like we're seeing it become more and more like the inside of a tomb or the inside of a pyramid. And it seems like this is just once again like a almost like a figment of Mark's imagination to cope with where he's at. Because Harrow's office also looked like it was in a tomb. He
Yeah.
might still be in the pyramid.
Well, my biggest question though is like, if he does come back to life, how the fuck does he come back to life if Khonshu's not there to give him power, right? Because that's the entire reason.
Oh, damn. I did not remember this. Hey, Lost fans. Hey, fans of Lost.
Uh-oh.
Remember the giant foot statue that shows up and everyone's like, what the hell is this giant foot? When it's finally revealed, that shit is Tawret. The giant statue is this deity in Lost.
Oh, yeah.
And this, we're talking Rebirth. And so, that's like a big plot point for that show. So, like, interesting. I want to forget Lost. You can't. It's with you forever.
Yeah, it's with you forever.
I'm so sorry that J.J. Abrams now runs all media. So deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I still can't find any relation. It's weird that I can't. Usually, it's like this deity was related to this deity, and then this. I can't find nothing about this god's relations at all. It's crazy to me. I'd have to deep dive.
She's like a
Most
really
of it
nice
right now
person,
is
though,
like-
isn't she?
She
now?
seems to be a good natured
Yeah,
god.
No, I mean,
she
like,
has to be
literally,
nice
she
to
is-
ward off evil spirits, and she protects pregnant women. Isn't that like her vibe?
Literally, like, her whole thing is she like became a hippo for the Nile to like purify the water. So she's like super good. She is one of the good guys. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
So why is she in prison?
I don't think I think
Big
the
question.
prison is that I don't think
She
she's
probably
in prison.
tried to help the humans. I think she is.
Probably.
I think she tried to help people.
Oh, you think they put her in there because she interfered with like humankind?
Yeah. What if she was like, it might even tie back into Eternals or another show. She might have like tried to interfere at some point
Could be.
because she's all about protection and like,
Sure.
birth and helping people. And maybe they were like, oh, hell no. And she was like, no, I'm going to do it. And they're like, go to jail, bitch. And then she's like, what the fuck? I'm so nice.
mean-
I'm a hippo lady.
It does check, like, when thinking about the gods that are remaining in the room, it does, like, even though one of them seems very friendly towards Khonshu, I feel like perhaps she doesn't want to get involved in shit. But the other gods in the room aren't good gods. They aren't bad gods either. Everyone who's left is like a god of order. So that would explain why they would be like, stop helping people. Just, we're trying to maintain a balance. Stop. And so why they would put everyone away or banish gods left and right, because they're trying their
Ahmed is
hardest
gone
not to
'cause
like.
she's like trying to kill everyone. Maybe, Tavara is gone because she was trying to help everybody. And they were like, all right, that's enough. Both of you girls, time out. Now she's like, what? I'm so nice though.
I don't know. There's a lot, like, that's what sucks is we only have 2 episodes left and there's so much Egyptian mythology that, like, obviously we're just skimming the surface. Like, we're just gonna get like a little bit, but it is fun that we're talking about a Marvel show and being like, what's the deal, Egypt? I think that's super interesting. I think,
Oh, yeah. I think that's
I'm here
awesome.
for it. Yeah.
It makes me also wonder how deep they're gonna go with all of it, right? Like, is it only gonna be Moon Knight that dives into this type of shit, or will other facets of the MCU have to start diving into this?
I would say other facets, but we all know that Gore's going to be done by the end of the movie. So, I wish that wasn't the case. I wish it was like,
Yeah.
gods finally need to be scared because there's someone out there coming to kill them all. I think that would be like super interesting, is if Gore like managed to not be dead by the end of that movie.
Maybe.
Or at least the blade was still around.
I mean, that'll probably be true.
Yeah. To
'Cause-
pedal back the opening scene.
Yeah.
I think we can confirm that some of my theories were right with like because the definition of the word Ennead implies 9. There's only 5.
Sure.
This is something that has never been that it was referred to by Stephen Grant in the first episode that there's people missing. their chairs are fucking empty. No one is talking. No one acknowledges it. Not even Khonshu acknowledges it. So this is information Khonshu already has. Khonshu already knows he will be entombed in stone. He says, hey, this could result in me being entombed in stone. So he already knows the punishment. This heavily implies he's seen this punishment met out upon gods that interfered too much or invoked their ire, right? Because he's very clear that he knows what's going to happen to him, exactly the manner in which it's going to happen to him. And then he says, oh yeah, the gods, they're not going to abide this. They're going to definitely put me in stone. And he says, tell Mark Spector he'll know how to find me. Come on, guys. That means how would Mark Spector know how to find him?
I don't know. No clue. I would imagine
Maybe
that is
it's
part of the
because
mystery.
it's where he saw Mark Spector when he saved Mark Spector the first time he died in the temple. Because Mark Spector says he should have died at that time. Maybe in being shot, he has ended up there once again at the crossroads to hell or whatever you want to call it.
And that's why the third
this
coffin
will allow
is...
him.
Yeah.
This will allow him to save Khonshu. Because this is how he found Khonshu the first time, is when he was killed, right? Sorry, my brain's going all Pepe Sylvia. And
no, you're totally right. You're totally right.
We see that there's like tons of gods entombed in stone. It's not just one or two. That's where the other 4 of the Ennead have to be. They have to be in stone here. Otherwise, why wouldn't they not show up?
Yeah, that checks out. I mean, that definitely checks out. And I would wager that we will see, because time out. Do we know she's a nurse? Because I don't think maybe she has a clipboard.
Who?
Our lovely hippo. I'm going to go look that scene up.
I don't know if we know who she is at all.
She's so cute.
She just kind of shows up.
Right, but like everyone online was saying, oh, the nurse is a hippo, but like, is she a nurse? Could she just be like another person there? And are we going to get a scene where it's like all the gods sitting around like a in a circle, being like, I am good enough. I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me.
The more I watch this, I do think the final shot of the post-credit scene is going to be all the gods, like, long ago interacting with Kang somehow. Or, like, he's the reason why all these gods have been imprisoned is because Kang's doing all this shit.
Okay. Hey, she doesn't have a clipboard. She's literally just, like, herself as a hippo in sort of like mythological outfit.
Yeah. Just hanging out.
So it's very possible that they could just be like, stuck there too. And that I'm here for it. That would be amazing.
But that means those other gods are there.
I think they are. I think he's going to see Khonshu, yeah.
And I again, this ties into what I just was saying. I hope the other gods are there. They all have a conversation of how the fuck they got there and like why they were imprisoned, and it all leads back to Kang.
Yeah.
I hope that's like where all this is leading.
Having some sort of like connector would be super good. Just anything to connect him to the. Yeah, because I like that it's on.
I would
also
love if Steven lets them all go.
I don't know why.
I would just love the idea. I mean, because I think he should. I hope that it's not like Khonshu gets up, the rest are there. I'm like, you should let them all go.
Yeah. He has no reason not to. Especially if they tell him why, and he's like, oh, that's fucked up. You've been wrongly imprisoned. So, we'll see. Sorry,
I would love for this to
the end
with
credits.
Now it's like Egypt is full of gods again. It would just be really cool.
Oh, just walking around, or you mean like the Pantheon is back?
Well, yeah, because that was like Layla's father's whole mission, wasn't it?
Right.
People thought he was insane because he
prove
wanted
that
to
the
prove
gods
that gods were real and that they were existing amongst us. Like, I feel like that, like she has more investment than anybody else in releasing them because that would be fulfilling her father's mission.
Yeah.
But again, stuff like that is always funny to me because we do exist in a world where like Thor gets photos taken with him on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the stretch to be like Egyptian gods were real is like not that far of a stretch.
Well, I mean, that was only recently, right? That was the past 15 years.
But still, Layla in the past, like,
I don't know the timeline for when her dad died. Blah blah blah.
It would have been at least in the last 10.
Right.
So Thor was like around, right? Because we still have that weird time thing where I mean it could have been the last 5 cuz Mark was alive during the blip. So like he was around. He didn't get snapped.
Yeah.
Okay, question. This is probably it's way out on a limb. Just an idea.
Let's hear it.
If y'all think Kang is related, how do we know that Kang isn't Mark's partner
What do you mean, my partner?
that shot all the excavators and shot him in the chest to prevent like them from uncovering the gods and setting them free? Think
What
about
a
it.
wild
Think about it.
twist that would be. What an
I would shit
insane
myself.
twist.
Think about it. What if he went like they're over here trying to uncover that gods are real? What if it was like it was Agatha all along and he like shot all of them, shot Mark Spector and was like, "No,
If
we're
we got
not
a
letting these
flashback
fucking gods
to that
out."
moment, Bronze, and the camera panned and the guy who shot them was literally the same dude at the end of the universe, that would be the craziest. People would go insane. People would lose their minds.
Well, what Layla's dad was doing was like would be completely in opposition of what Kang would want and what the Ennead would want, right? Like he was actively trying to discover these tombs and prove that the gods were real. Like and they're over here trying to hide their presence from human beings, right?
That would be insane. That would be insane.
I don't know.
If that
Sorry,
happened.
it's just an idea. I'm just
It
Here's
could
the no,
calling.
but it's like the great insane. If that happened, I would be on my phone blowing the both of you up like, yeah, like losing my mind. Because that's how insane that is. If they had the audacity to do a scene like that, I'd be like, there are no rules. The Marvel Universe is crazy. This is amazing. I would be going crazy. Oh my God. If that happened.
That's eventually
again,
going to happen, though. Like, there's going to have to be some big reveal with Kang.
And
like,
I will,
it's going
of
to
course,
happen. It
act
has
accordingly.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he is.
But
Loki occurred and set things in place and in motion for Kang to be a thing. Like, it's going to eventually happen. We just don't know where the tie-ins are going to come from.
The problem is that because we're in the start of a new arc, there's so many loose threads, and we're all just like, well, how do they connect? And again, I'm still waiting for someone to tell me, anyone to tell me, how Jon Snow gets to space to save his space girlfriend. Where does that, like, how do we go from A to B to C on that one?
Jon Snow, I cannot take this motherfucker seriously. I just see his like pathetic little face every time you say it. I'm just like,
how does that, like, I can't believe that's where we're at right now, y'all. And I know it's too early, but I just think it's hilarious that like one of the like loose threads is this man's space girlfriend got kidnapped by a god, and he's like, let me get my ancient family sword. Like, bro, screw the sword. You need rocket fuel or something. Like, how are you gonna save her? It's crazy.
I'm trying to like think of all the plot devices for how he. I really think the Eternals like did a lot of fucking stupid things. The more that I go back and think about all the implications of that, it's like there's a man, and a fucking giant man in the ocean they haven't talked about. Jon Snow exists. He's got a magical sword. That's cool. How the fuck is he gonna get to space? Harry Styles is like the space god of love.
Yeah. Harry Styles.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me, Jesse. That Harry Styles is the space
and I'm
god.
here for it. I like that. I'm so happy that I get to be here for this insane trajectory, because like this is, no matter what people say about like comics or whatever, all comics eventually get to the like, and now giant spacemen are gonna fight golden gods and their laser beams, and then like a dude with claws is gonna show up, and he's gonna be for some reason just as equally powerful. And I'm gonna let you know, I am here for that shit. I am here for
that's
all
where
of it.
all this is heading, right? Like,
oh yeah. Oh, like an intergalactic
there's gonna be a
space
celestial
fight where some reason Spider-Man is equally as strong as a deity. And frankly, I don't care. I'm here for it. I want to watch this. Give me I am a simple man. Give me spectacle. I want more end of Endgame scenes. The bigger, the better. Give it to me. I want them. I want like man fighting a dragon with his like fist rockets. I want like demon beasts getting punched in the face by like giant gods. I want like a man eating a whole planet like a hamburger. I want all of it. Give it to me.
It'll be pretty wild to see how they handle Galactus. It'll be even wilder to see how they or even weirder to see, wilder and weirder to see how they handle Silver Surfer.
That's what I'm like. They have not nailed Silver Surfer or Galactus at all ever in cinema, movie, TV.
If you think about the absurdity of Silver Surfer, is a dude who's all silver that has a surfboard that flies through fucking space.
Yeah.
Like, think about that that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard of.
Yet somehow,
like, is he just gonna be Australian? Is he just gonna be an Australian space-going dude made of metal that surfs in space? Who do you how do you actually cast that? How do you actually cast the Silver Surfer?
If it's all CG, if they CG the shit out of him, it could be anyone. It could be anyone. You just have to find the right voice. And there's so many great like good voices you could stick on like a shiny silver dude. I don't know. I mean,
he's got like Vision's head, right? Like his head's perfectly spherical in a lot of ways at the top, so he can't even have hair.
Say it. Oh,
I'm trying to think like who that could be.
The thing is, there's so many people. It could be. We exist in a world where a man who stars in car films is a tree.
That's true.
Like anything's possible. Anything is possible. Oh my God, Keanu Reeves, Silver Surfer. Whoa.
That would actually be. That's pretty good casting.
That'd be pretty good.
I'm thinking about the spherical head joke casting. Think about Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson is the Silver Surfer.
Love that.
He's got a very spherical head. It'd be great. Be great. I don't know who it could be. Jason Statham, or whatever his name is. That could work.
Statham could do it, but Jason Statham has
he's tall enough.
He also has Jason Statham voice. Everyone he's like Tom Cruise. Jason Statham isn't a character. Jason Statham is Jason Statham in.
Right.
Just like Tom Cruise isn't like, oh, that's that character. No, that's Tom Cruise is that dude. Like it's Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, right? Like it's just that's who they are.
Yeah. Well, we'll eventually get there. We got to finish up Moon Knight though. Any big predictions for next episode? What are we doing?
Do we have an episode?
What do you mean? Do we have an episode? What do you mean?
Oh, is it the one after the next where we have to?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was like, yeah, Bronze, there's going to be an episode 5 of Moon Knight. There's 6 total. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to remember which episode that
we're here next week.
Have to move.
We are here next week. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll discuss next week, but any predictions, episode 5? Do you think we wrap up the entire mental institution episode 5?
By the end of it, for sure.
You think we're done with it?
Yeah. Because we have to have the final confrontation. And that's outside of the mind. So that's going to be like a whole other thing. Episode 6 has to have a confrontation plus a wrap up plus a like
stinger.
Then other things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think we see all the other gods that are imprisoned?
I would like to. Do I think we'll get it? No.
Okay.
But I would love it.
I would love that, but I don't know if it'll happen.
You think they open the 3rd tomb?
Yes. I think you're totally right. At first I was like, oh, that's where the 3rd personality is. But I honestly think you're probably right. That's where Khonshu is.
Moon Knight / Khonshu.
Yeah, and they're going to set Khonshu free. And that's how he's like, Mark knows or whatever. Yeah. Because Mark was in this place before. Like, I don't know. But Mark didn't seem, if he was there before,
he would recognize.
Why was he also afraid of God showing up?
Yeah. I don't know. And then do you think we see the Moon Knight costume in episode 5, or is it 6 where we get the like big re-reveal? Do they save that for the final fight or the beginning of episode 6 where the fight is?
Great question. Great question. I don't know. I'll say 6, just for the sake of saying it.
Okay. All right. Bronze, any takes? Predictions? Who's thinking?
I think we're gonna have a big fight scene next episode.
Between who?
I think they're gonna. It's gonna be revealed to them that the orderlies are not normal orderlies and that they have jackal heads.
We're going to get a bunch of dudes walking around with jackal heads? What if we get a bunch of dudes walking around with alligator
I'm
heads?
shooting for the moon. I'm shooting for the moon here. Okay.
Okay.
Why not?
All right.
They showed us a hippo lady. She seems really nice. She's like, hi. Why not? Jackal-headed goons and Mark Spector and Stephen Grant have to work together, and Layla has to choose between them.
Sure. I think next episode we'll just get weird. We'll get a lot weirder with it, which I'm excited for. I think that has to be there. We'll see a bunch of weird shit, which should be exciting. So that's that. Cool. Let's do.
Were you guys curious about what the prize was?
What?
She does the bingo and she says, "Oh, I'll share with you this time." Are you curious about what she was going to share with him?
Oh no! He won. I
The
think.
cupcake?
No, I think he won the
They have a
bingo,
cupcake, Probably. Yeah.
and then
He won
she
the
took
bingo.
his
And she
thing.
takes his card and she says, "Don't worry, I'll share with you this time."
I think she was
And
just lying, and
she
she was gonna go take it because he was at that point, kind of like he was just like, right?
Yeah.
So she was just taking his stuff. I think
Isn't
that's
that
what
kinda
that
fucked
was
up,
trying
though?
to say.
I'm curious what the prize is. I wonder if it's the cupcakes they're giving out. I don't know why that like stuck in my head. I was like, I'm very curious about what the prize is.
Probably because it's nothing, but you want it to be something. I bet you
I
the prize
know.
never gets mentioned again.
I know. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Who knows?
There's so many weird things in that scene with like all the people drawing pictures of alligators and stuff. There were so many weird things going on in that opening scene.
Yeah, that one lady was drawing a conchu raven. So
Yeah.
there's a lot. So we'll have an episode on Tuesday. The 9th, I am gone. However, I can't record on the 8th because the flights did not allow for it. However, we could record Saturday evening if you two are down.
What day? For what?
It'll be the 7th. You would have to have seen Doctor Strange by the 7th. And we could record
Yeah,
MCU
whatever.
so we don't have to wait a week.
Yeah,
MCU could.
whatever. It's all good.
And then we could just air that Monday. I could just go live on all of our channels, or one of you could go live, or Barry could go live and just play the VOD for normal scheduled MCU crew.
All right.
Because otherwise we have to wait till the 16th, and I think that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
One, I won't remember everything. But I'll be seeing the movie on Saturday, so it'd have to be a late recording for me. But it'd probably be like 8 or 9 your time. That would actually maybe work out for you guys on that Saturday. So that's what we'll try to do. We'll see if it happens. We'll schedule it and figure it out a little bit more as we get closer to that.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll have to have seen the movie between the two of you prior to that Saturday. So that's the only thing you got to get set up. Let's do some shout outs and then we'll call it a show. Bronze, what do you got going on? Do some shout outs.
Hi, hello. I'm ThatBronzeGirl. I just got back from PAX. Please pray for me that I don't have COVID. I was there for the acting show, so I was there for work. This week I am streaming on my channel. I've got some stuff with Amazon this week that I'm doing with my friend, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, this isn't a very good advertisement for my channel, but you know, I think my stream's pretty entertaining. Thank you.
There you go. Beautiful. Jesse, what's up?
Hey, for some reason I've had a frog in my throat for the last 35 minutes, and I have nothing else to drink.
This is what you
Anyway.
said. You said, I never get sick. I would die if I got sick.
Well, I'm not sick. I just got like a umpty in my doomty. Anyway.
What?
Yeah, the kids get it. So, hey, do you like the streams? I do those sometimes. I also have videos over on the YouTube. That's something I do as well. Also, I do other things. It's all good. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Good stuff. Hopefully by next week, I'll be over this cold. I'm really tired of this shit. Can't talk for very long. It is what it is. We'll watch episode 5 this week. Comes out Wednesday. We'll talk about it next Monday. And whatever else is going on in the world of Marvel. And I guess next week we'll also maybe preview Doctor Strange, because that's going to be coming out the week. We'll see. We're out.
Maybe.
Thanks
All
for
right.
watching. Have a good rest
Bye.
of your day. Bye-bye.